Hey, deserving listeners, there is a new 90-day offshoot called Love in Paradise, the Caribbean. Let's watch and see if it's interesting.
I don't know how to tell you will you get mad, but I quit my job.
Whoa, you're quitting your job?
Yeah,
you quit your job.
To quit my job.
I'm not okay with that.
So we see that tone from both of them. I'm not okay with that. And he is saying, like she is his mother, I don't know how to tell you this without you getting mad, but I quit my job. An adult would say, honey, I just want to tell you I quit my job, but I have a plan. Here's the situation. And we've seen this before, actually. I feel like I've seen this exact scene before where who was it that would quit their jobs in 90 Day Fiancé without, and would approach it this way. But anyway, so to avoid that dynamic, if you're Daniel, I have to look at my cheat sheet, Amber and Daniel. If you're Daniel, then you want to approach it like an adult. Honey, I just want to tell you I quit my job. Here's why. Here's the plan. Here's the situation. I don't want you to have to pay for everything. Here is my long-term plan. Here's my short-term plan. I'm going to get on it tomorrow. That's what an adult does. A child goes, I quit my job. Please save me. That's kind of the demeanor. And then to avoid her side of it, you would want to say, okay, so you quit your job. Why? What's going on with that? I have to say, from my standpoint, I'm worried that we're not going to be able to pay the bills. So now, from what I understand, she wants to bring him to the States on a K-1 visa, right? I have to look at my cheat sheet because of the details. Yeah, they're the K-1 visa. She wants to bring it back. So presumably he wants to also, right? So he's going through the paperwork situation. And so he doesn't need a job in the long term anyway. So let's see how they talk about it.
I'm not okay with that, Daniel.
I just tried to do this.
Why did you quit your job?
For have more time to get the paperwork for the visa. And at work, they don't give me time to do.
So you see that disgust in her face. That's not a good sign. That's an evidence that she was treated like that when she was growing up, the very disdainful face without knowing more information, and contempt, one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse on the ending of a relationship. And on the other hand, though, on his side, he's saying, in order to do the paperwork, I needed to quit my job. Was your job taking every hour of every day? Because I'm assuming at the end of the day, or at least on your day off, you could. Now, I don't presume to know where are they? They're in Costa Rica. He's a Venezuelan in Costa Rica. I don't know anything about how, typical jobs work there, but I would assume that he would have some extra time. But I don't know. Maybe the K-1 visa paperwork is a full-time job. Let's see what they say.
You need money to get to America. You need money to pay for your rent until you do.
I know, but you told me for the phone a couple days ago, if I don't have the paper, when you come here, you're gonna think about the relationship.
Daniel, but me saying that doesn't mean quit your job.
You don't have to do all that stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know the details. I can't evaluate his behavior here. I don't know what circumstances he's under, but it certainly does seem irresponsible, especially to just do it without talking. I mean, he could have said, so, honey, I'm in this situation. You want me to do the paperwork, and I want to do the paperwork, but I never have time because I'm always working. So what I was thinking, since I am coming up to the States eventually, is I'd quit the job. You could float me a little bit of extra cash and I'd be able to do the paperwork. You run it past her instead of just doing it. Any of you out there with kids, particularly maybe teenagers, that feeling you get when you're telling your kid, okay, you gotta do your chores, you gotta do your homework, and you gotta make sure you get a good night's sleep. And then the next day you wake up in the morning and he's been up all night, and that when he doesn't get any sleep, he's cranky. You're like, what's going on? And he's like, well, I stayed up all night. Why'd you stay up all night? You're going to be wrecked today. You're going to be in a bad mood. You're going to be sleeping all day in class. What happened? Well, you told me I'd do my chores and do my homework. And you're just like, like that. Any parent of a typical child has had that feeling. And he seems to be pushing her into that place, which which can indicate dependent personality schemas. Who knows? But let's continue watching.
With the job, I can.
Okay, so do you have the paperwork then? Have you started, did you call? Did you go to the cities that you need to go to that you tell me that you need to go to?
No, I haven't do that any still.
So I get her frustration. I mean, if I'm understanding the situation right, what? All right. So you quit your job. Did you get everything done? Have you done anything? And nope, I still haven't done anything. So what? Now, when they're together, there's love, right? I didn't show those scenes, but there's romantic love between the two of them. So how would we reconcile that? Maybe he has some kind of problem. Maybe he's afraid of something. Maybe he feels incompetent. Maybe he doesn't know what to do. Maybe there's some barrier there. Maybe they'll get into it.
Roles have really flipped. Is there an office? Can you go to the office? Can you go to
I
their...
have to take in a bus to get to capital.
Well, honestly,
That's
you
it.
shouldn't even be here. Then you should be on a bus.
Amber doesn't have idea how hard it is get all those paperwork at times.
Okay, so we're getting a little bit more context here. He's saying he has to get on a bus, go to the Capitol. He has to talk with people. I'm sure maybe there's a lot of lines or something. Okay, but you can do it, right? You quit your job. But maybe it's a lot harder than we would imagine it to be. I think just in the United States, dealing with the government is a pain in the butt enough. I'm guessing it might even be harder where he's living. Who knows? But okay, that helps give us a little bit more context.
And another week. I don't want to wear the pants in the relationship. I've worn the pants my whole life. I want him to be the man. I want to be that pretty girl that you're willing to take care of. I'm not hungry anymore.
Interesting perspective that she has. That she's narrativizing the situation as she wants a man who will take care of her instead of, I want someone to show me that they love me. That's the way I would recommend that she sees it, because that's essentially, I think, what's happening is he's not, if he really loved her and wanted to be with her and wanted to marry her and wanted to live with her the rest of his life, then he would put effort into it. When you want something bad enough, you make it happen. And he's not doing that. Instead, she's framing it in, I'm always the one that's wearing the pants in the relationship, which lends itself to the hypothesis that this is a relationship pattern that she's always had, where she will find incompetent, childish partners because it fits well with her parental role that she likes to. When we find ourselves in patterned relationships with different people where we're the parent, it's not because we consciously want to or don't want to. It feels comfortable to us, and we're attracted to things that fit well with us, and we will choose people that seem compatible with us. So it's possible that even though she was really trying to avoid that, she accidentally recreated a pattern that she has felt throughout her adult life. And this is a perfect thing for therapy. It's a very common topic in therapy of, I've had 5 partners and my problems are generally the same. Let's talk about that.
About me?
I have to worry. I'm worried about everybody.
I'm literally just asking you right now. Can you just think about me?
In America, the unique family I will have there is Amber's family. I will have no brother or nothing there. So in the future, I would have my mom and my brother next to me too.
So 2 things. One, whenever they're doing the subtitles, for whatever reason, whoever types the subtitles will insert commas where they shouldn't be. As a professor, that bothers me. So I don't know if anyone else is noticing that, but there are commas in there where, and there's a frequent comma that gets placed that maybe I just have not been up to date on where commas should go, but it always kind of irks me when I see it. But anyway. The other thing is what's happening right now is that Daniel is his name, right? Yeah. Is springing on Amber that, so I'm also wanting to bring my brother and my mom. So like when I go, I want my brother and my mom to go too. And for Amber, it's just another bomb that's going off in her lap. Is that how the saying goes? She just learned this morning that he quit his job, that he hasn't filled out any of the paperwork, and now he wants to bring the family. And I get it, of course. He wants to be with his family, of course. And to some extent, if I were Amber, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And also, if I was Amber, I would think, well, maybe your brother and your mom are more responsible with getting their paperwork done, so maybe I could depend on them to help you with your paperwork. I don't know. But, that makes sense. It starts to lend itself towards a situation where Daniel might not be that into Amber and might be seeing Amber as the means to an end. But I don't know. I don't want to accuse him of that. I don't want to be that typical xenophobic racist that we see on this show. So I'll reserve judgment. There's no reason to believe that. But anyway, the other thing that I am wondering about is when I was in Colombia with Umberto, co-host of this podcast, because he's from Colombia, we were in Bogota, and I was taking an Uber across town, and the Uber driver and I got to talking, and he was from Venezuela, and he was telling me about how in Venezuela he and his family were professionals and professors, and they were doing really well in Venezuela, and then the political and economic and other kinds of strife that happened and has been happening in Venezuela caused him and his family to flee, and they had the means to emigrate to Colombia. And now, back in Venezuela, he was on his way to become some sort of prestigious professional of some sort, and now he is an Uber driver. There's nothing wrong with being an Uber driver, but he was disappointed in it. But he was also happy to do that because if he stayed in Venezuela, it would have been much worse for him. And you can imagine that perhaps their family is the same. I think Daniel might have even mentioned something like that. So the whole family goes to Costa Rica to get away from whatever was happening in Venezuela. And you can imagine that, okay, now we're going to go to the United States. I'm going to go to the United States, and so I'm going to bring because I've learned that we have to stick together, and we are a unit, and we have to support each other, and we have to save each other from we have to survive together. And so you can imagine that Daniel would want to do that. It's just a guess as to why Daniel. Now, there's a different way to communicate that to Amber, right? Like, he could have said it a long time ago. He could have said it when the brother wasn't sitting right there. Say, honey, just let you know, me and my family, we survived a lot, and we go together, and I love you, and I want to be with you, and I want to marry you, and I want to live with you forever. And my family, I would feel terrible if I left them behind because my mom was the one who got us out of Venezuela, or whatever the situation. Explain it a little bit more, give some more context, inspire Amber to want to do this instead of just like, oh, by the way, I want to bring my mom and my brother. Don't get mad. That's kind of his way of communicating.
Who's going to do that paperwork? Because you can't.
Well,
you can barely do ours.
I can right now, but one of the time when I will there working hard, I will do it.
You do know you're in debt to me, right?
I know.
So she just said that he's in debt to her. I wonder what that means. I don't think they've talked about that specifically. Does he owe her a lot of money because of previous things? It's interesting. I don't think we've seen that kind of arrangement on this show before.
De que mis planes son llevarte a ti a mi mamá para Estados Unidos.
¿Tú sientes como un apoyo de ella en los planes que tiene sobre llevarnos a nosotros?
Entonces ella piensa que es muy pronto.
So we just heard his explanation to his brother as to what's going on, and that wouldn't be the way that I would phrase it. The way I would phrase it is, well, I think she wants to bring the family to the United States, but I didn't tell her until right now, and she's a little stressed out by the fact that I keep springing things on her because I am not doing what I need to do, and now she is thinking now she has to worry about 3 people when she can barely get me to do anything because I am not doing anything yet. That's the way I would describe it.
Podría ayudar porque desde que ella comenzó con mi hermano, sería lo mejor para nosotros.
I just think it's fucking bullshit. It's our visa
It's not
process.
bullshit
It's not
because
about them.
it's my family.
It's our right, but it's our visa process and what we're going through. And I just want to add another layer to it.
So I would suspect that what's really happening for Amber is she feels like she's being used. She feels like this isn't really love and romance. It's more about saving his family, or, I'm guessing there's something along those lines. And also, I think she's getting a little intoxicated, maybe. I don't know. And some feelings are coming up that I think are totally legit, but I think it's hard for her to feel like she can trust him. And he does have a way of talking that doesn't seem to be grounded in reality sometimes. So I get it, but I wonder if this is going to feed off of each other in that way, where she'll get more angry and then he'll withdraw and do things behind her back, and then we'll have this vicious cycle.
Daniel just keeps dumping more stress and responsibility onto my shoulders. Honestly, I wonder, does he even love me? Or am I just his sugar mama that can pay his bills and get his family and him to the US?
Right. So that's what you want to focus on, Amber. That's instead of preventing the family, you just want to say, okay, you want to check in with yourself and have an internal dialogue of what's going on with me right now. And then you just say, I'm having questions as to whether or not he actually loves me. I want a real partner. And if he's a real partner, then absolutely, I will do everything I can for his family. But I don't know if I have a real partner. And this is the problem when you have a long distance relationship and you don't have a lot of trust built up between the two of you. All right, well, that is it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.